Well, welcome to this week's edition of In the Pocket with the legend himself in Peter Spida Everitt, who's on the road this week. All thanks to Palmer Bet, of course. Spida, how are you, big fella? And you're in Mildura, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. They call it the Fruit Bowl. How good is it? The Fruit Bowl of Australia, but right on the corner there. But yeah, just up here doing some footy stuff. Footy finals is everywhere. We really do enjoy this. And look, it's the hardest point is we've only got 3 games left, and that's it. What do? We turn to horse racing, and we love that, but we still miss our footy each and every week. So yeah, look, it's an awesome weekend of footy, massive weekend last week, and it only continues to grow. So, yeah, look, it's in Mildura, this time of the year too, shout out to all the local footy clubs around Australia. Those who are playing their finals, a lot of them have finished off. A lot of them had their Mad Mondays. Their best and fairest counts are this weekend as well. So, prelim weekend is massive for the AFL, not only at the top level, but clubs all across Australia doing their best and fairest counts. So, yeah, and if you are... Can I just have a say? And I know then we'll dive into the games. If you are getting married this weekend or next weekend, and there's somebody on the table watching the football, that is your fault. That's got nothing to do with them. They're allowed to have a bigger crowd at the table watching the footy. If you have decided to be silly enough to get married on a prelim or a grand final weekend, so you know what? If people are watching the scores, I'm sorry. Put away the Macarena or the nut bush or whatever you do, or the big train that goes around, because there's some people that want to keep their tabs not only in the footy, more importantly, on their little multis.
Mate, absolutely. And they're all hanging on your multis, that is for sure. Now, you just touched on then Mad Monday spot. I want to ask you off the top, what was your favourite Mad Monday story, mate? Can you give us something inspired from back in the halcyon days?
Well, the worst one was, I suppose, when I woke up at home on Mad Monday and I'm like, where am I? And they go, at home. And I said, what's today? They said, Monday. And I said, it can't be. I never get home on Monday on Mad Monday. But I slipped at Sydney and smacked my head and cracked it open. Wow. And then I put myself in a cab and woke up in Maroubra. The police told me to get out. And I had to walk all the way home. And this gentleman, to this day, he picked me up. He saw me on the side of the road, had no idea who I was, and said, oh, do you need a lift somewhere? And I said, I'd love to get a lift home. And got a lift home. And, yeah, I remember still knocking on the front door, and my wife didn't open. The mother-in-law opened the door, and then I had with blood coming down my head on Mad Monday. She's going, gee, my daughter's picked well.
Oh, mate, that is unbelievable. I thought you were going to say you woke up the next Monday, you're away for a week. It was like the hangover.
I've done that too. I've ended up overseas after a Mad Monday. But yeah, look, they're a fun, good day if you're done in the right spirit, and we've seen players get themselves into silly trouble. But most of it, absolutely, it's responsible, it's fun, it's stupid little humour. I still remember one. Can I just tell you? We woke. I was over in. I was on the radio on the Gold Coast, and they woke up, and Palm Beach, Currumbin are blowing up. Their cricketers are blowing up that somebody had broken into the ground over the weekend and did massive burnouts all over the ground, ruined it. Thousands and thousands of dollars worth of oval repairs needed. Yeah. And I was like, hang on, let's rewind. Who won the grand final that day? Palm Beach, Currumbin. I said, it's got to be the Singers. It has to be the footy club. No. Wednesday, the Singers put up their hand and take responsibility for doing burnouts on the oval.
The cricketers would have been real impressed. That's unreal.
Oh, I love it.
Hey, listen, Spide, what a fantastic week of finals footy. The first couple of weeks have been amazing, to be honest. We're all talking about it, and we've still got 2 weeks to go. We've got prelim finals, of course, this weekend. Then the big one, the grand final. It's going to be an absolute amazing couple of weeks. But let's turn our attention to last week. And, it was a game of 2 halves, wasn't it? The Brisbane Lions. I reckon, and we called this last week, Spy, the Demons were limping in. They had a few sore boys, a few sore bodies. And, the Brisbane Lions were just too good in that second half, weren't they?
Because it's very similar to what happened the week earlier. McInerney got injured. They had to reformat the team, and then they had a couple of players step up and play, really important roles like McStay and these kind of fellas. And then you see a week later, okay, they're going to go in pretty much unchanged. They should go right. No, Danaher does. Suddenly Hipwood stands up, and this is the beauty of being able to stand up on big games in big days, because you know what? It's the predictability. And
I agree.
and that's what we love. That's the hard thing about it. So, the big question, we'll get to it later on, does Danaher play? Doesn't he play? Of course he's going to play. But for that game, absolutely, that, just didn't get him on the fly early. But when they started to get the flow, everybody thought in the first quarter, and I was one of those, okay, here they go. How much are they going to win by? And then for him to bounce back and win, just a huge effort. And you know what? The Brisbane really needed that. So, and it does really sum up Melbourne's year. Melbourne have never been the Melbourne of last year throughout the year. So, to be honest, I thought they really should be playing off in another granny, but they weren't. They're still not the form they were in 12 months ago.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. They'd be disappointed, Melbourne Demons fans, because they missed out last year, effectively, didn't they? Because the grand final was in Perth, all that kind of stuff. And I think they were expecting similar this year, and unfortunately they didn't get it. But Brisbane just tapping along. They beat the Tigers only just. They got across the line in the first week of the finals. They've got a lot across the line against Melbourne. Gives themselves a live chance. They've only got to play really good football.
You've just got to be in it to win it, don't you?
That's it. That's exactly right.
You've got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, it's watch this space. What about the Magpies season, Spide? It has been absolutely unbelievable. And 20-point victory over the Dockers. And the Dockers just, not a lot went right from that. A lot of players, I reckon, that just didn't perform on the big stage. But the Pies just getting the job done at the moment. It's just been an amazing season. And McRae's he's like the super coach, isn't he?
Even Freo at some stage, they're going to come back. And as you say, Collingwood just didn't allow it. And he has been a super coach. And, they were back on the horse. And that's what I love. And you go through their playing list, and it's just everybody just playing their role. And we go back 2 weeks ago when he said, "Don't act as losers. We've got a game to win next week." And they come out and they just smashed it. The first couple of minutes, they put a couple of goals between them and Freo, and you thought, okay, game over. They're not going to get there this time, Freo. They've tried it too many times throughout the year. So absolutely, Collingwood. And you still go through their side today, and you go, gee, it's going to be a crack at this, because they haven't got, they've got some A-graders, but, you compare that on paper to a couple of the other teams, and you think, no, how have they won so many consistent games and by so close? So that's the thing, one thing they're going to do is go right to the end, and they're going to keep fighting. So, which sets it up to an absolute cracker this weekend.
Now, listen, current premiership odds, all thanks to Palmerbet. So last week, the Cats are $2.50. Now they're into $2. Swannies last week, $2.90 into $2.80. So haven't moved too much. Pies last week were $10. Now they're into $6 spots, and nearly half their quote. And what about this? The Lions last week were $26. Now they're $10 in a 4-horse race. So interesting little moves there. And I must admit, Spider, I'm starting to just really believe that this is Collingwood. I just got that feeling, mate. It was a cracking final, that first final against Geelong. They played Sydney in the back half of the season up there. They didn't have Degoe. And I just reckon they are building beautifully. And I'm keen as mustard on the Pies this week. I don't know about you, big fella, but I'm just gaining momentum with that Pies bandwagon.
Well, we know one thing. You don't want to fly out there. They are absolutely gouging you left, right, and centre. The airlines know how important that is. They have upped the ante on every flight around Australia over the new 2 weeks.
Un-Australian Spider for mine.
Absolutely. Take a public holiday like we've got next Thursday and calm down. But, it is un-Australian. Like most people will sit there and drive. I know right now that we're organising a few motorhomes to go from Melbourne up to Sydney. So cheaper to get a motorhome, stay in there, make it a nice little road trip and do it. So, look, it's going to be an interesting one. I like Collingwood too. Collingwood have been building, and when you look at those premiership odds, Geelong deserve to be outright favourite, but I think it's another big game for them. I like Collingwood as well. They're still really juicy odds. Do you think any of those 4 sides will halve in value by Monday?
Yep. Absolutely.
And, I suppose, Collingwood will more than half in value, and Brisbane will
be off the charts.
2/3. So I think there's some really good odds there. I think Geelong will probably still make it, and they deserve to be favourite. They've got a great list. They're in great shape, but at the same time, they've only played one game in 27 days or 24 days. So it's a long time not to have footy under your belt. I'd prefer to be having a couple of games under my belt, and I know they would have trained accordingly, but still, even my young fella said the other day, how come Geelong's out there on the golf course? So, well, they got to fill in their day somehow. They got to try, that's those little mental lapses that can cost clubs. So, that's just a little thing that he picked up.
Hey, listen, Spide, just on a side note, grand final week's always a massive week, especially for big names in the game. You're one of those big names, Spide. Let's be honest. How many cashies grand final week coming your way, big fella? How many sporties? What do you got planned for the week, big fella?
Well, I can tell you, maybe not me, but I know there's another comedian that I'm very close to, and he's probably the best in the country at the moment. And he's got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, lunch and dinner booked with 2 on the Friday at lunch. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, a massive weekend. But you know what? I love, we're in Mildura to do a festival of footy, and all the way through, especially the southern states, and then, also in some in Queensland and New South Wales, but mainly through the southern states. There's so many great lunches to go to.
Let's move along. Most final goals. Now, this is a market that Palmerbet have had going right throughout the final series. So Eric Hipwood, he's currently at $4. He's the favourite. He's kicked 7 goals thus far in the finals. Jeremy Cameron at $4.50. Only had the one game. He's currently on 3 goals. Charlie Cameron's at $4.50. He's sitting on 6 goals at the moment. Tommy Hawkins, he's only kicked 1. He's at $15. Joe Danaher's on 3 goals. He's at $15. And Gary Rowan, who's currently on 3 goals, he's sitting at $15. He might be a little bit of value, Big G Rowan. If he can get another couple of games in, prelim final and then a grand final, who knows, Spot? He might be the way to go here, all thanks to Palmerbet.
Yeah, but you look at all finals, and I think somebody in come the big day on the big stage will kick 4 or 5. You look at somebody like an Elliott, my check could kick up 5 if he on the big stage if they've got a couple under their belt. So I think there's a little bit of value there, absolutely, with Gary Rowan. But you wouldn't. He has kicks a couple this weekend and then goes on to the grand final and kicks a couple on a big stage. Absolutely. So don't be surprised if one of those small forwards or just one of those kind of half-forward flankers bobs up and kicks 4 or 5 come grand final day. We see it happen each and every year, but you've just got to work out which one it's going to be by the time which team he's going to be out of. That's going to be the drama.
That is the trick,
mate. Absolutely, that's the trick.
Spine, let's have a look at the games, of course. Prelim final, Friday night, MCG, 7:50, Geelong taking on the Brisbane Lions. It's going to be a full house, mate. They'll be heading down the highway. It's going to be huge. Head-to-head, the Cats $1.30. Lions at $3.56. At the line, the Cats minus $21.5, $1.90. Lions plus $21.5, $1.90. And the key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet. Cats won their round 4 clash 88-70. That was at GMHBA Stadium. I was down at that game, Spot. It was a lot closer than the 10 points too. Tom Hawkins kicked 5 goals in that game, while Joe Danaher and Daniel McStay both kicked 3. On a streak, the Cats they've won 14 straight games, so they're in great nick. And the Lions, they're the comeback kids in both finals games. Have come back from large second half leads against the Tigers and the Demons. So they are running games out pretty confidently, and they'll take that confidence into the Cats this Friday night.
Really interesting, isn't it? Because we know Geelong needs this, Brisbane need this, and both their coaches need this. Both their coaches need to make a prelim final. So it's just absolutely everything there. This is what they've all been playing for. This is the moment that both of these clubs were really questioned with at the start of the year. Can they get themselves into a grand final? Geelong's been, to so many final series yet fallen short. Same with Brisbane. So this, you couldn't ask for a bigger game for what it means, not only to the players, but definitely the coaches as well. So I find this absolutely a cracker. I still think, when you look at, Lockie Neal, will they tag Lockie Neal? You've got to have a run with. You've got to really try and, Danaher out, you'd think now he's going to come back, and you will never, ever not go into a final series with your big bucks player, Danaher. That would be absolutely ridiculous. So even to make that statement, he could stand up, but he still kicks that goal that get him the win only 2 weeks ago. So that big Oscar McInerney coming back into the side after a broken nose. So they've got some good changes and some good inclusions. And for me, I think Geelong, we know what Cameron can do, we know what Hawkins can do, we know what Rowan can do, we know what they're forwards, but their midfield are the ones that are going to really be challenged, because they've got to be able to beat them on the pace. They've got to be able to bring the ball through the midfield and absolutely carve them up. And it's, players like Dangerfield and Selwood, Isaac Smith out there on the wing, Guthrie, Blitzarth, these kind of blokes that will just need to be running flat out for 4 quarters, which we know they will. But at the same time, They've got to deliver when it really counts. So I can't fault any of them. I just think it's we've been talking about this game since the start of the year. This is the game, and I know people are going, oh, it's no Collingwood and Carlton, but what's on the line for the clubs? It's bigger than that, and
the coaches, as you said, Spide.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a couple of little games within the game, mate. Hey, listen, what's your multi, what's your play here? All thanks to Palmerbet, buddy.
Look, the final series has been so close. There's got to be a blowout. There has to be a blowout. And I really hope it's not next weekend. I want one game here to be a blowout. I think Brisbane's got over the line very, very luckily over the last couple of weeks. They've just got through. For me, I'm going with Geelong. I said 40 plus. I know a side's going to win by 40 plus at one stage this year during the final series. I'm going to stick with Geelong, 40 plus. Guthrie, McCluggage to get over 20. McCluggage has been one of my favourite players all year. He just gets the job done. And for goals, Hawkins and also Cameron, they'll kick two each, absolutely, for Geelong. And I think Dangerfield also will kick a goal. And that will give you around $7.50.
Beautiful, mate. Absolutely love it. Let's move along to finals game 2, of course. Prelim finals, Sydney Swans v Collingwood, Saturday, 4:45 at the SCG. Head-to-head, the Swannies, $1.40. Pies, $2.99. I reckon that's crazy. Swans at the line, minus $7.5, $1.90. Pies, plus $7.5, $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet Spide. Swans beat the Pies in their round 22 clash at the SCG. So at this ground, by 27 points, no to go with that day. Buddy, to get back on track, he didn't kick a goal in their win over the Demons, but kicked 15 in his 5 games prior. And finals prime for weeks. Pies' last 5 games were played against 4 finals teams. 2 in actual finals, of course, but the big games against the Demons and the Swans, plus the final round epic against the Blues, which knocked the Blues out of the finals. So they are match hardened. I'm telling you, mate, I'm so keen. I know the Swannies are a good side. It's one of your old club, Spide, but geez, I'm just so impressed with what Collingwood are doing, and I reckon they've got a real belief in that footy club, and I reckon they're going to win Saturday.
Well, they have. There's no doubt. They'll go down swinging. We know that. Collingwood will play 4 quarters out. They'll go down swinging. I can't wait to watch Nick and Josh Dacos again. In another big hard game up there at the SCG. You've got when you look at Buddy Franklin. Okay, he's always going to draw. Darcy Moore. I like Collingwood. Collingwood at the same time. If it, Sydney at the same time. If it ain't broke, why change it? They're not going to make a change in their side. They haven't for the last 4 weeks, which is remarkable, which just goes to show, and it gives credit to their fitness staff. Their fitness staff have been remarkable for decades, and they're able to get their good players on the park consistently at the right end of the season, and that is right now. So Buddy Franklin, Papley, Heaney, all these blokes, they've got a cracking side, and they're going to have a cracking side for a good period of time. A lot of young kids, we're looking forward to that. But for me, if I'm looking at doing my multi and I'm taking every bit of you into account, because I know that so many punters sit there and just absolutely sit on the edge of their seat for every word you say, I am no different. I think Collingwood between 1 and 39. I'll be taking Collingwood between 1 and 39. My check and DeGoey to kick a goal each. DeGoey and Cripps to get a 20 plus. I think DeGoey, as you say, I know we put a lot of emphasis on him, but he loves these big moments. They've kept him out of trouble this year. They closed the borders and said, close the borders until after the finals, and then DeGoey do what you want. Just get to the 24th of September. That's all we want. So, look, and you'll get 8-10 for that. That's good value. For Collingwood to win between 1 and 39, my check to DeGoey to kick a goal, and DeGoey and Cripps to get a $8. For me, that's a good bet.
I love it, mate, and I love that we're thinking the same too. I'm
Finally,
really just
taking us 23 rounds, and we're on board together.
I know, but I'm just warming more and more to the Pies. And gee whiz, wouldn't it set up a tantalising, a Geelong Collingwood grand final or a Brisbane Collingwood grand final for that?
Well, I think a lot of us too. It's when you think of a Geelong Collingwood grand final, and that's what I'm predicting. That's like a fairy tale. That's a Victorian fairy tale after 2 years off. Nothing taken away from Sydney, nothing taken away from Brisbane, but, 2 Victorian Collingwood versus down there Geelong, Melbourne would be absolutely buzzing. If you have Brisbane and Sydney, yeah, absolutely for Brisbane and for Sydney. But for that North, you might as well play it in Brisbane because you know what, the buzz around, and that's just football. That's reality and what it's what. So for me, I'd love to see, and I'm going to Oh, well, we're still waiting to see if we've got a standout side. The Palmer Bet boys, I know they're playing funny buggers.
Is this
cricket? They're getting back to us. They must be this week. They must be going, look, we've got it all organised. We'll tell them, we'll surprise them, and they can do their last show from there. I know what they're like. They're just playing funny buggers. So when we're there grand final day, it's going to be absolutely huge.
Yeah, mate. And seriously, it has been absolute donuts and crickets from the boys at Palmer Bet. So I know they're watching. I know they're listening to this.
I think they've blocked your calls.
Yeah, mate, we are dead serious. Actually, it might be, I might get a text message after this. I'm going to actually put a group text there. Just say, listen, boys, what's the go for grand final week? What are we doing? Are we getting down there or what? But listen, mate, it is going to be a fantastic prelim final weekend. Both games, realistically, a toss of the coin. Get down, download the app, of course, Palmer Bet, really simple to get involved. Plenty of stuff in there to see, plenty of same game multi stuff. I think outside the square, the team at Palmer Bet. But as we always say, Spide, do it in a responsible manner and gamble responsibly within your means, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. With only the 2 games this weekend, have a bit of fun. Find out who Isaac Smith first goal, or you and your mates. But as you always say, gamble responsibly. But it is good fun. A cracking weekend of footy for me. I'm going for the Geelong and the Pies.
Yeah, they're beautifully done, mate. I'm with you. I'm going to stick with you too, Spide. The Cats and the Pies for me to get across the line. This has been In the Pocket, of course. There's only a couple of weeks to go, and keep an eye out for the Brownlow Medal Special, which will drop, of course, which is on Sunday night, Spide, which is something a little bit different. But keep an eye on that one, Spide. You have a wonderful week in Mildura, mate, and looking forward to this weekend's finals footy.
Absolutely. The Fruit Bowl of Australia. I'm going to come back with that much vitamin C in me and vitamin B. Bit of VB.